we are going to learn English writing. First, I will give you some exercises for your fingers. Show your fingers. With these exercises, your fingers will become strong. Now, let us do the first one. Let us pick up some grains.
I told.
Now, two types of grains are given to you. You must pick up one of the grains and put in another vessel. Now here, you have rice and also groundnut. Pick up groundnut and put it in another vessel. Come on, pick up. Pick up. Pick up only groundnut. The next exercise is, we will draw the impression of your left hand. Show your left hand. Left hand. This is like this. Draw the impression of the left hand. Keep it on paper. Hand. Say hand, hand. Now we will trace the boundaries of some objects. Now here is a lid. Let us trace. Come on, trace. Now here is the lid of a bottle. Let us trace. Now, let us draw the boundary of another object. Next, we will do touching a rolling ball game. Children, touch the ball. Go on touching the ball. Roll the ball and touch. Touch. Wherever the ball goes, you should touch it. Yeah, go on touching it.
Yes, sir.
Now we will do touch my pencil tip game. Come on, touch my pencil tip. Touch, 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 touch. Come on, touch. One dot. Say one dot. Yeah. One dot. Say one dot. Yeah. Two dots. Touch, 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 touch. Touch the tip. Touch, touch. Standing up line. Touch, 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 touch. Touch, 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 touch. Yay! Children, we will learn more of writing English. I will say and write. You must say and also write along with me. Now, let us write one dot. Say one dot. Say one dot. One dot. One dot. Now let us put two dots. Say two dots. One dot. Two dots. One dot. Two dots. Show one dot. Two dots. One dot, two dots. Now let us write standing up line. Standing up line. Standing up line. 1 dot, 2 dot, standing up line. Standing up line. We are stand up. Standing up line. Now, lying down line. 1 dot, 2 dots, lying down line. Lying down. Lying down line. 1 dot, 2 dot, lying down line. Slanting line. Slanting line. Slanting line. Now let us repeat. 1 dot. Say 1 dot. Let us put 2 dots. 1 dot, 2 dots. 1 dot, 2 dots. Let us draw standing up line. Join the dots. Standing up line. Standing up line. Now let us draw lying down line. 1 dot, 2 dots. Now join the dots. Lying down line. Lying down line. Lying down line. Let us draw slanting line. Slanting line. Slanting line. Again draw slanting line. Yeah, very good. Let us draw curved line. Curved line. Curved line. Let us draw crooked line. Crooked line. Crooked line. Curved line. Crooked line. Circle. Circle. Let's draw half circle. Half circle. Open right. Half circle, open right. Half circle, open left. Half circle, open up. Half circle, open down. Half circle, open right. Half circle, open left. Half circle, open up. Half circle, open down. Let us join the half circles and we can get circle. Say circle. Let us draw it again. Let us draw a circle. 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 Let us draw half circles. Half circle. Half circle, open to the right. Half circle, open to left. Half circle, open up. Half circle, open down. Half circle, open to left. Let us join the half circles. We will get circle. Let us join. Join the half circle. We will get circle. Circle. Children, we will write the English alphabets. First we will write the small alphabets. You already studied standing up line and also half semicircles. Now, These are 4 lines. First line, second line, third line, fourth line. Now let us see the 4 lines once again on the blackboard. First line, second line, third line, fourth line. We must write the English letters on the 4 lines. We must write in between the lines. Let us see once again how to write the alphabets on the 4 lines. Now, let us write standing up line. 1 dot on the first line and third line. Join the dots to get standing up line. Call it L. Standing up line, L. See, it is on the first line. It is touching the first line and the third line. L. Next, let us write a half circle touching the second line and the third line. Half circle. We call it C. Half circle, C. Hereafter we call it C. It is touching second line and third line. Now we can write most of the small alphabets using standing up line and half circle, or L and C. I will show you how to write most of the alphabets or all alphabets using L and half circles. Let us begin. I will show you how to write most of the alphabets or all alphabets using L and half circles. Let us begin. A. Write a half circle between the second and third line, touching the second and third line, and a small standing up line and a small half circle. A. A. Now let us write B. Standing up line, a half circle, turn left. B. Standing up line, left open half circle. B. Next, C is a half circle. C. Small c touching the second and third lines. Pull it. Now D. Standing up line and a half circle. D. Now E. Small e. A half circle and a small line like this. E. Let us write E again. E. F. A standing up line and a small half circle and a lying down line. See the line. Now let us write G. A half circle a standing up line and a small half circle open up. Now see, G is starting on the second line and ending on the fourth line. H, a standing up line and a half semicircle. I, a small standing up line between the second and third lines, and then a one dot on the top. Let us repeat once again. L, C, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. Now, if you know to write L and C, you can easily write all these small alphabets. Now let us repeat writing these alphabets again on the 4-rule paper. This is the 4-rule paper. These are 4 lines or 4 rules. First line, second line, third line, fourth line. The small alphabets are written touching and in between these lines, which I will show you. Let us write a standing up line. Put one dot on the first line and on the third line. Join the dots to get a standing up line. This is L. It touches the first line and the third line. Small l. Now let us write a half circle between the second line and the third line. Half circle. This is C between the second line and the third line. C. All of the small alphabets can be written using L and half circles, which I will show you. Let us write A. Between and touching the second line and the third line, write a half circle, a small standing up line, and a small half circle to the top, to up. A. Now let us write B. A standing up line touching the first line and the third line, and a half circle to the left. B. B. Now let us write C. Write a half circle. This is C. C. Touching the second line and the third line. Now let us write D. A standing up line between the first line and the third line, and touching the first line and the third line, and a half circle D. D. Now let us write E. A half circle touching the second line and the third line, and a small slanting line like this. E. E. Now let us write F. A standing up line touching the third line and the first line, and a half circle towards the down, and a lying down line on the second line. This is F. 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 Now let us write G. A half circle between the second line and the third line, and a standing up line touching the second line and the fourth line, and a half circle towards the top. G. G. Now let us write H. A standing up line touching the first line and the third line, and a half circle touching the second line and the third line towards the bottom, towards down. H. Now let us write I. A small standing up line between the second line and the third line, and a one dot at the top. Let us repeat once again. L, C, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. Next, we will write small j. Starting from the second line, a standing up line to the fourth line and a dot. J. 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 A standing up line and a small half circle touching the fourth line. Next we will write K. A standing up line touching the first line and the third line, and two slanting lines touching the second line and the third line. K. K. Say K. Next we will write L. Touching the first line and the third line, a standing up line. L. L. Next we will write M. Between the second line, touching the second line and the third line. M. Next we will write N. Between touching the second line and the third line. N. Small n. Next we will write O, a circle touching the second line and the third line. O. Say O, O. Next we will write P, touching the second line and the fourth line. Draw a standing up line and a half circle touching the second line and the third line. P, P. Next we will write Q, a standing up line touching the second line and the fourth line, and a half circle. And a small half circle to the top. That is right again. Q, Q, Q. Next we will write R between the second line and the third line. R, R, R. Now let us repeat the same letters on 4-ruled paper. Now we will write J, a standing up line touching the second line and fourth line. And a small half circle towards the top and a dot here. J. Next we will write K, a standing up line touching the first line and the third line. And two slanting lines. K, K. Next we will write L, a standing up line touching the first line and the third line. L, L. Next we will write M, touching the second line and the third line. M, M. Next we will write N, touching the second line and the third line. N, N. Next we will write O, a circle touching the second line and the third line. O, O. Next we will write P, a standing up line touching the second line and the fourth line, and a half circle. P, P. Now let us write Q. A half circle touching the second line and the third line. And a standing up line touching the second line and the fourth line. And a small half circle. Q. Q. Now let us write R, touching the second line and the third line. R, R, R. Now let us repeat once again. J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R. Now let us write S between the second line and the third line. Yes. Yes. Now let us write T. A standing up line touching the first line and the third line. And a small half circle. And a lying down line touching the second line. T. D, D. Now let us write U. A half circle touching the second line and the third line. U, U, U. Now let us write V. Two slanting lines between the second line and the third line. V, 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 V. Now let us write W. W is two V's written together. W. W. Next let us write X. Between the second line and third line, two slanting lines like X. 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 Now let us write Y. A slanting line between the second line and the third line. And a slanting line touching the second line and the fourth line. Y. Y. Next let us write Z or Z. 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 Z or Z. Z. Let us repeat once again. Yes. Yes. T. T T U U U V V V W W W X X X Y Y Y Z Z Z. Now let us repeat the same thing on 4-ruled paper. Now let us write S, touching the second line and the third line. Yes. Yes. Now let us write T, the standing up line touching the first line and the third line. And a small half circle and a lying down line on the second line. T T T. Now let us write U, a half circle touching the second line and the third line open to the top. U U U. Now let us write V, touching the second line and the third line. Two slanting lines. V V V. Now let us write W. W W. Now let us write X. Two slanting lines like this. X, touching the second line and the third line. X. Now let us write Y. A slanting line touching the second line and the third line. And a slanting line touching the second line and the fourth line. Y. 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 Now let us write Z or Z between the second line and the third line. Z Z Z. Now let us repeat again. Yes. T U V W X Y Z. Now let us write the capital alphabets. All the capital alphabets touch the first line and the third line. Let us write them one by one. A. 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 Now let us write B. 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 Now let us write C. C. Now let us write D. D. Now let us write E. E. Now let us write F. F. Now let us write G. G. Now let us write H. H. Now let us write I. I. Let us write it again. Capital A, capital B, capital C, capital D, capital E, capital F, capital G, capital H, capital I. Now let us write it on forward paper. Now let us write capital A between the first line and the third line. Capital A. Now let us write capital B. Now let us write capital C. Capital C. Now let us write capital D. Capital D. Capital D. Now let us write capital E. Capital E. Now let us write capital F. Capital F. Now let us write capital G. Capital G. Now let us write capital H. Now let us write capital I. Let us repeat again. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. Now let us write. Now let us write J. J. Now let us write K. Capital K. Capital K. Now let us write capital L. L. Capital L. Now let us write capital M. Capital M. Now let us write capital N. Capital N. Now let us write capital O. Capital O. Now let us write capital P. Capital P. Capital J. Now let us write capital K. Capital K. Let us write capital L. Capital L. Let us write capital M. Capital M. Let us write capital N. Capital N. Let us write capital O. Capital O. Let us write capital P. Capital P. Let us repeat again. J. K. L. M. N. O. P. Now let us write capital Q. Capital Q. Let us write capital R. Capital R. Let us write capital S. Yes. Capital S. Let us write capital T. Capital T. Let us write capital U. Capital U. Let us write capital V. Capital V. Let us write capital W. Capital W. W. Let us write capital X. Capital X. Let us write capital Y. Capital Y. Let us write capital Z. Capital Z or Z. Let us repeat again. Let us repeat again. Q R S T capital U capital V capital W capital X capital Y capital Z or C. Now let us write these letters on forward path. Let us write capital Q. Capital Q. Let us write capital R. Capital R. Let us write capital S. Capital S. Let us write capital T. Capital T. Let us write capital U. Capital U. Let us write capital V. Capital V. Let us write capital W. Capital W. Let us write capital X. Capital X. Let us write capital Y. Let us write capital Y. Let us write capital Z. Okay. Let us repeat again. Q R S T U V W X Y Z. Capital Q, capital R, capital S, capital T, capital U, capital V, capital W, capital X, capital Y, capital Z. Children, I want to tell you that the alphabets are written at the correct places. The small alphabets and big alphabets are to be written touching certain lines on the 4-rule book. Now, you see on the board the small letters, but they are written wrongly at the wrong places. I want to show them the correct places. Look at A. Its place is wrong, position is wrong. A must be written between the second and third line. So this is wrong. So A is to be written here. A. Now, look at B. The standing up line of B must be touching the first line and the third line, and this position is wrong. This is B. Now look at this C. It became too small, and it must be touching the second line and the third line. So this is wrong. So this is C. Now look at D. Its position is wrong. The standing up line of D is taller than required. So it must be, this is D. This is wrong. Look at E. It is too small, and it must be between the second and third line. This is right. This is wrong. Look at F. F must be touching the first line and the third line, and not the fourth line. So this is the correct way of writing F, and this is wrong. Look at G. G must be touching the second line and the fourth line, and this is the correct way of writing G. This is wrong. Look at H. The second line of H must touch the first line and the third line. This is wrong. Now look at I. I must be written in between the second line and the third line. And here this I is bigger than required. So this is the wrong way of writing. Look at J. The correct position of J is touching the second line and the fourth line. And this position is wrong. Look at K. The standing up line of K must be touching the first line and the third line. And the slanting line must be between second line and the third line. This is wrong. Look at L. The small L must be written touching the first line and the third line. And this is wrong. Look at M. M is too small here, and it must be touching the second line and the third line. This is the right way of writing M. This is wrong. Look at N. It must be between the second line and the third line. This is right. This is wrong. Look at O. It must be touching the second line and the third line. This is wrong. Look at P. Small p is written between the second line and the fourth line. This is wrong. Now, look at Q. Q is written touching the second line and the fourth line. This is wrong. So, this is Q. And the position R of R is between the second line and the third line. So this is wrong. This is R. The position of S must be between second line and third line. This is wrong. This is yes. Look at T. The position of T is between first line and the third line. So this is wrong. And this is right way of T. And small letter U must be between the second line and the third line. This is U. This is round. And the small v must be between the second line and the third line. This is too small. And the position of w is between second line and the third line. W. The position of x is again between the second line and the third line. This is wrong. And the position of y is between the second line and the fourth line. This is y. This is wrong. And z or z, its position also is between second line and the third line. This is wrong. These are the correct way of writing the small alphabets. And you must write each letter at the correct position on the 4-ruled paper. Children, I will show you how to write on a single-ruled paper. Look here. How many lines are there? 1 line, 2 line, 3 line, 3 line, 4 lines. Or this is 4 rules. Look here, how many lines are there? There is only 1 line. Now, when we write on a single ruled paper, there is only, we have to write on only 1 line. Now, when we write on a single ruled paper, we imagine or we assume that we are writing on the third line, 1, 2, 3. So, we forget about the first line, forget about the second line, forget about the fourth line, and we write on the third line. And then we assume, we imagine that the first line, second line, and fourth line are there. Okay? So, we write the small letters assuming that the first line, second line, or fourth line are there. But we will see only the third line. Okay? So this is the third line of the 4-ruled paper. What is this line? Single rule, single line. The single line is the third line of the 4-ruled paper. So, I will remove the first line. Let us remove the first line. Now, let us also remove the second line. Now, let us also remove the fourth line. Now, we have only the third line. Now, you know how to write ABCD on the 4-ruled book. Now, so we will imagine or assume the first line and the second line and also the fourth line. Let me show you how to write on the single. We are going to learn English writing. First, I will give you some exercises for your fingers. Show your fingers. With these exercises, your fingers will become strong.